Hello, everybody. Everybody, all aboard. This is a call. It's a web call about technology, much specifically about troubleshooting observability in our microservices. Okay, what we're talking about today here is in modern applications. We have to verify what's are going on inside process in your applications. Your applications need to be ready for that. And come to think of it, when things go wrong, or even when you want to check it out, want to verify how processes are going step by step inside your applications, you need to have some way to get into it. You need to have some effort inside your application in order to enable these informations for you. Not only to make logs, but also to connect steps. You got a process inside your application, and we're talking about microservice. Let's go a little bit deeper, okay? We're talking about this. This purple highlighted zone, it's what we are talking about. Inside of here lies our applications with business layers, with business context. Each one of these applications got intelligence, and there's a couple of steps in order to do their processing. This is your intelligence business, and there's a lot of other pieces connected to it that depends on it, like your front-end applications, like mobile applications, websites, or even 30-party software. Everybody needs to consume your API, and your API is on microservices, so things are going inside of them, and all the intelligence happens inside of here. And we need to check it out, for example, steps inside of, like technology, what's available, and what is the ending point related to this API, if it could if it have a successful insert on a database, if it had successful delete on the database. Every step needs to be mapped. If there's some incidents inside, if something went wrong, if we lost communication with some external service, all of these informations need to be available for all our microservices, for all our applications. And in order to do that, let me show you how we solve on the DevPrime these kind of situations. For those who don't know me, my name is Alvaro. I work on the DevPrime engineering team, and today we're talking about how to build microservice with observability. And first of all, I'm going to show you the big picture. Okay, okay. I'm going to show you a big picture of what we're going to have in this scenario today. For this presentation, for the purpose of demo, I brought 3 microservices: order microservice, payment microservice, and delivery microservice. All these microservices got its own responsibility, its exclusive responsibility. So we're talking about bounded context, domain contexts. Order will make the ordering, of course, and it will receive web requests, do some processing, save its states on the states database, and then emit an event. This event will be detected by the payment microservice, which will react to it and then save its states on the database. Each one of these microservices got separately that database, so there are no communication with their database. Only communication here are made by event streams. So these events in the payment got a brand new event which says there's something who has been paid, so we need to deliver it. And the microservice delivery will react to these events, do some processing, save its state on the database, and then, but before go any further, it will make a web request on order through the services adapter, and then do some math, and then save its states on the database. Wow, it's a lot of steps, I need to check it out, each one of these steps, because it's a big journey. There's many lots of there's many different steps in our processing, and we need to have tools in order to go step by step when checking this scenario. Uh, First of all, let's create a microservice. The microservice we're gonna create now is the order microservice. And to do that, allow me to introduce you DevPrime CLI. DevPrime CLI is a command line interface which will accelerate many steps from our diary routine. When you have to create a new microservice, first of all, you need to decide how many layers it will have, what is the responsibility of each one of these layers, and how will them relate to one each other. There's a lot of decisions to be done before you create a microservice, before you create a new project for a cloud native application. And all these decisions have consequences. And this consequence that has a price to pay. So before we create a microservice, we need to decide how will it be created, how people will code, and how is this code organized. You have to spend a lot of time of conversation with your team in order to uh, create this project of engineering. But DevPrime do that for you only in a couple of seconds. Only thing we need to do is just, I want to create a new microservice. It's being called order. Our state will be placed on MongoDB, and our string will be on RabbitMQ. So in DevPrime, if I want to create a new project, a new well-structured, separate concern architecture, hexagonal architecture, we only have to type this line. Okay, we got a new microservice. It's called order. It is here in this folder. So let's navigate to this folder and let's open this, check it out what we have. If you don't know DevPrime yet, share this video with people. Also download it, try it, and give us a feedback. I'm running the microservice here. It's a production-ready microservice, and I am gonna open up this application engineering project. First of all, when you create a microservice using DevPrime, we got a production ready microservice, which means that we got all technology aboard, and it is on a reserved room called adapters. Each one of these adapters got a unique responsibility and single. For example, if you want to receive web requests, it will be made for exposing your API. So there's a web adapter only to take care of all that. If you want to communicate through events like RabbitMQ, Kafka, and so on, there is a stream adapter to take care of all these details. If you want to save states or retrieve states from SQL database or even a NoSQL database, many different kinds of database, there is a state adapter to take care of for it. And if you have to communicate to other APIs, there's a services adapter to do communication through gRPC or web requests and so on. If you want to connect it to authorization, authentication, there's a special adapter for that. So every application got a single responsibility with a unique responsibility adapter. And all these adapters are here in this reserved room, and which makes our domain totally decoupled from technology. There is no technology on our domain, only business rules, only business decisions. So it is decoupled from technology, so your application can evolve with no contamination. And we got a brand new microservice here. We just created that. And this is the key point. We start from the beginning with a production ready microservice. So everyone, all of these technological aspects of our architecture have been already inside. So for example, we got a stack running here giving us smart behaviors. These stacks give us information about our state is on MongoDB, our string is on RabbitMQ, and there's a web adapter which offer us an ending point called localhost 5001. So let's check it out, this ending point. Okay, it says, welcome to the DevPrime. We got a microservice order. There is also an open API, so just click on it. And we got a production ready microservice that can be placed under API from your choice. You don't need to do no extra effort to have all these behaviors, because it's something related to the stack, and every new DevPrime microservice got the same smart behavior because it comes from the stack. So they are made by the stack, so they got this behavior. And by now, let's do. We have a production ready microservice, but we have to place some business logic here. And now it's time to write some code, give some behavior to our microservice. To do that, let's place some domain classes here. Let's write some domain classes here. And this class needs to be on domain-driven design standard in order to be based on some foundation classes. I'm going to show you that. First of all, you have to have a conversation with your business areas, and in addition, as a result of this conversation, the output are domain-driven design classes. So I can write this for this presentation, but for the purpose of demo, I'm gonna accelerate this step by placing some marketplace rules, business rules. Okay, what we did here, I just placed some code here. Okay, remember that it's up to you and your team to place business here. I'm bringing these classes from a marketplace, but in normal situations, in ordinary days, you have to write yourself. You have to write by yourself this code, and these classes need to be based on DevPrime Stack Foundation classes like aggregate roots and entities, and these classes are based on domain-driven design classes. And the fact that we have a foundation classes under our classes makes these classes available to interact with the stack. So the stack now can interact with these classes because they are based on domain-driven design DevPrime Foundation classes. And we have to create some implementations to expose states, to expose APIs, and to load states and to save some states. We have to write some code here following some patterns of the industry. In order to accelerate this step, I can call DevPrime init, which will verify our domain classes, and based on our domain classes, DevPrime init will do some implementations in order to create to us a repository to save states, to retrieve states, in order to create to us ending points to access our APIs, in order to create some tests for our applications, dependency injection, and many other very important steps. Okay, DevPrime init just uh, did analysis. Okay, this is the accelerator step you have to do. Just create your domain code on domain, core domain room, and then you just type gp init. It will make some very important implementations to accelerate your software delivery, like create repositories, for example, in order to save states and retrieve states, and also some web ending points to expose our APIs, like this, for example. So you don't need to do that. You can do that by hand. You can do that for your own. Just writing these classes one by one. That's no problem. Only thing to do is to make sure that your classes are based on classes from the stack. Same way we have here in domain. We're using classes from the stack. So you can do all the steps by yourself, just writing code, but we have some accelerators, for example, in order to create important steps that we do in diary routines. So Now we got some more useful code because we got domain rules inside of it, and we also typed DP init. So our production ready microservice now got intelligence. Let's take a look at it. Okay, now we got some ending points, so you can just make some web requests. Let's do a web request here. We got an API, brand new one. Made up. Really, really, really cool. Okay, I make a web request. I made a web request, and now I can just follow step by step of my web request. It came to a web adapter and go to uh, internal layers. In the state adapter, save its state on MongoDB, and the string adapter, there's a out event which being delivered. So I didn't have to write this log code. There is no code from me to create this log information. It's up to the stack to do that. Every application got the same stack, and the stack got the smart behavior. This smart behavior allows us to have a full log process of all the process inside our microservice with no extra effort. So we got a brand new microservice here. I brought two other microservices in order to place our scenario. We just create a microservice. It is easy how to create a microservice with DevPrime. It is that easy. And we have a microservice order. And now let's communicate with payment and delivery. That's it. We have a order. So new order created cause a payment. A new payment cause delivery to have to make a web request on order to check it out to get more information and do some process, and then it save its states. So this is the general, the big picture. And I brought two other microservices running, payments and delivery, and I am going to make a web request on our microservice order microservice. In this case, I am buying a t-shirt. It's a green t-shirt. And it was okay. I got a successful web request. And our order microservice had to just lots of communication with other microservice. I'm changing the tab here and showing you the payment microservice and the delivery microservice. On the top, we got the payment microservice. On the bottom, we got delivery microservice. And they are communicating with each other by events. And it's a little bit complex to me to follow individual logs only with an eye. I can do that just checking out step by step. But if I want to see all the things together, if I want to get all this information in one single place, let's first of all let's enable some information here in the configs and open the log config. And I want to export it. I want to show my app name. Okay, and I want to have a Tracy. Okay, we got our microservice order. I just enabled some flags on the app settings. You can do that in your config on your cluster the same way. Just change the configs in your cluster. And I am running now order microservice, but there's a distributed tracing enabled here. So I am communicating to other microservice, and I need to have a trace from where comes my request and each one of the steps it has passed. So it's a cross application process. So I need to have a distributed tracing of every step. And DevPrime enables for us the open telemetry protocol. I don't need to do no extra effort to have it. I just enable a flag and I got it enabled on my microservice. No extra effort, is that easy. Now I ask to show the microservice naming, and I also ask to print open telemetry trace, and also to create a log export in order to check it out these in the some useful observability tools. Check it out. Now we got let's have a simple web request, and we got our microservices doing the processing here: order microservice, payment microservice, and delivery microservice. And if we check it out, this information on Zipkin, we got our entire log here and now distributed tracing with no extra effort. This way, we can trace our information from order microservice passing through payment microservice because we got an event here, and then it goes to delivery microservice, and then it goes to order microservice because we got the web request getting involved here, and then it gets back to delivery and keeps processing. So we got all entire Tracy, and we have to do no extra effort in order to enable that for our applications, because every DevPrime applications got the same predictable behavior, and every DevPrime applications got this open telemetry available for all applications. Let's suppose that I don't want to use Zipkin. I want to change this configs to another tool. I only have to change some app settings, and we change technology. Let's see that. Just want to stop Zipkin on my container. Zipkin. Okay. Let's change to Jaeger. Let's stop all microservice and change app settings. Okay, the resource. At this moment, I'm about to change the trace collector from Zipkin to Jaeger. Something. No access. I think it's something running here. No. Okay. Let's change it. Okay. Now we're running Jaeger. First microservice. On the second microservice, change trace Jaeger. On the payment microservice, change trace to Jaeger. So let's run all of them again. Payment microservice, delivery, and then order. Now we got the same protocol we have, which allows us to expose our open telemetry tracy on Zipkin. Is the same we're gonna place on a Jaeger also. We only have to, of course, I need the container running also. Excuse me. all I need is to change some configs. So if I am using Zipkin here in my config, so I'm exporting traces for Zipkin. If I'm using Jaeger here, I am exporting traces for Jaeger. So depends on what kind of technology we use on the app settings. This is the way we will be reading our logs. But the most important part is that I don't have to recompile my code. I don't have to change any line of code. I just change configs. This is a very important part because right now we're a couple of seconds ago we were running on Zipkin to read our distributed tracing, and now we are running Jaeger. And I can also make a web request in this situation and have my traces on Jaeger. That's it. With no extra effort, I have my traces on every single tool which supports Open Telemetry Protocol, because DevPrime enables the protocol itself. So it doesn't matter what kind of collector you're using, DevPrime will export your tracing step by step for any one of them with no extra effort. And we have the logs, and these logs has been planned to be indexed. So we have all this information, all this step connected by numbers, and these kind of numbers, request IDs, trace IDs. These informations allows us to make things like that. For example, I can get my log here just to wait a minute. Oops. The container is not running. Sorry. That's it. Okay. Let's take, for example, one of these trace IDs. And this is this is an observability tool which help us to actually I'm using that as an observability tool, and the main goal is to get the logs and what's the log line itself, in addition to have details about each one of these log lines. But the important part here is that every log created by DevPrime application are here with no extra effort, just because I placed some configs on app settings, and I am exporting logs from 3 different applications, and all these logs are here together so we can analyze the process uh, cross from all microservices step by step. And these logs have numbers which identify them. So we can make some filters based on these numbers. For example, trace ID. I can have a trace ID and I just pick it up, trace ID from my application here. And now I am making a filter for everything related to this trace ID. So what we got here, we got our whole entire process. In these two steps are counted from the bottom to the top. So the first step is here, it's order web request, and then your API, your order API receives a web request, make process, and there's an out event here. It's an important part to check is the exactly line oops, exactly line where we change microservices. So we are on the order stream adapter, there's an out event, and there's an in event on the payment stream adapter. So we're changing microservices here. We're going out from order to payments. And inside the payment microservice, we change microservices again here. There's a delivery and payments from string also. So we got out, string in, and in delivery we got a different communication because we got there's async communication which is made by events like Kafka or RabbitMQ, And there is also zinc communication, which is made by web requests. This is what we got from delivery to order. As we can see here, there's delivery services get, and there is some steps inside order here. So the delivery microservice made a web request into order microservice. This is the reason why we got logs from order, and then we get back to have orders in delivery. All these informations are available to us with no extra effort, because every DevPrime application got the same behavior. So we have logs, traces, and all these indexed informations for all your microservice. And let's suppose that we got an error. Let's suppose that I place something that I cannot do here. For example, I need my customer name is a required field. So if I just delete my customer name, I'm gonna have a domain error. So I make a post, and I got a domain error. Customer name is required. So we got an error on our API. But there's a number on our API, and there's a very important aspect here. The first one, we don't leak information to the API. Okay, every internal detail is only on the logs, and our API don't leak information like connection strings or file paths and so on. Only information we need to track this incident is this number. If we take this number, we can track this incident for all way long. Just place here trace ID, and we filter from the web adapter to domain. This is the place from where it has been. So our event starts on a web adapter of order microservice, go through internal layers, and there's an exception, a public exception. Let's open the exception, and what we got here got a lot of details like the line number where the exception occurs. It was a public exception. In this case, it was a business exception. But let's suppose that we got a bug. We got an out. Now there's suppose that our database went down, and our microservice can't communicate with. So we have some technical problems. I'm gonna represent the technical problem here. For example, just throw an exception inside. Let's suppose that we throw an exception on domain. When it comes to order, we just, inside our domain, we just throw an exception. Just throw new exception. There is a bug. What I'm telling here is that when I execute this method, I'm gonna receive a bug. I'm gonna receive an exception. You there is a bug. Okay, attach. What's coming on? Okay, let's just build it. If you haven't downloaded yet DevPrime, download it. Try to reproduce the steps I'm showing you at home and give us some feedbacks. It will be very appreciated. So come on. Now our microservice will give us an exception when I try to add a new order. There's something in the red line here. Okay, it's running. Let's make a web request in this situation. Just via web request. Okay, we got an internal error. In this case, we had the internal problem. Maybe it can be a bug, it can be a database connection problem, some things that we haven't, we We don't expect to. Okay, we're talking about exceptions here, that it has exceptions that we don't expect to. So there's something that went wrong. So there's no leak of information on our API. We don't need to throw information to our API because it's an internal problem. So it can reveal some, uh, probably some leaks of security or stuff like that. So there's no leak of information on your API, only a number, and this number can be used to track our log by its trace ID. And we have step by step what's happening in our applications. So we don't need to do no extra effort in order to have it, because DevPrime gives us for all new application. And all you need to do is to write your domain code inside DevPrime domain and make some customizations in your for to fit your special needs in developing your application, because there's a uh, lots of work, the burden to create technology that is already solved inside DevPrime stack. You don't need to create these in every new microservice. Come to think of that, if you are analyzing logs from different applications and we got different teams working on it, every team, every microservice got a different way to place logs. There's a different way to write logs. And how can we relate to one each other? How can we relate logs from different applications? And even inside the same application, we got different ways to write logs. So we need to write logs and we need to have information for all our process, but we need to have that in all applications on the same way, because it makes the root cause analysis faster, which reduce your mean time to repair, your mean time to get up again, because it's easy to find things when you have a pattern and all your applications got the same pattern, and these patterns are connected to one each other in order to accelerate steps on your daily life, on your troubleshooting. That's it. Stop my screen. And for this time, we were analyzing observability logs and how does DevPrime can accelerate these steps for us. We have a lots of accelerators. We have an entire architecture engineering project by default. So everyone who has worked on one DevPrime project can be changed for a different squad. And in other squad, if we got DevPrime projects, the same experience will be there. You know, if you work on one DevPrime project, you can work in all DevPrime projects because they got the same architecture, they got the same organization. And DevPrime stacks give some smart behaviors which enable applications to be easy to do troubleshooting. And we don't need to do no extra effort to have these features on it. I showed you today 3 microservices communicating one each other and connecting information from all of them with no extra effort. I don't need to place any extra code. Stack itself got this behavior and give me guarantees that all my DevPrime applications will have the same style of log, the same standard and predictable behavior. So it helps teams to find problems easier. It's a fast debug. It's a better root cause analysis based on DevPrime. That's it, everybody. See you soon. Bye bye.